Can you give me permission to share screen, please?
Yeah. Yes, permission for everything. Here, let me just.
Okay. Do you guys see it? Yeah, I think you guys should. Okay. By now, I'm sure all of us have heard about or even used ChatGPT. Now, this AI chatbot has revolutionized the way that we learn about concepts and how we gain information. Now, I have personally used it to help me format the speech, and it's possible that you have used it at some point as well. And during this time, I will be informing you on how AI chatbots like ChatGPT, Google Bard, or even Bing Chat produce answers to your questions. And to preface this topic, I'll be going over the three main processes for the chatbot. The first one, sorry, the first one is the ability to understand and comprehend the question the user has asked it. Second, taking that question and searching its databases for the best answers. And third, delivering the response to the user in a human manner. First of all, let's define a chatbot. Now, there are actually two different types of chatbots, AI chatbots and rule-based chatbots. And the easiest way to differentiate the two is this. Rule-based chatbots follow a pre-written flow of options. Imagine a tree. Since it follows a set of rules, no matter how complex the tree is, it has to follow its script. It cannot adapt or learn to the user's request. For example, I once asked a chatbot, rule-based chatbot, when the registration date was for transfer students, and it gave me the exact date and time. But if I asked it if it was possible to register any earlier, then I'm sorry, can you guys hear me? Sorry. Okay, sorry. It says that it wasn't registering. Sorry. When I asked it if I could register any earlier, it just repeated the previous answer. Why is this? Obviously it's because the bot is unable to search any more, is unable to obtain any more information. It has to follow its tree. Now, AI chatbots are basically the improved version of the rule-based chatbots. It is capable of learning from the context and questions you provide, and it can search through its database for the answers you need without being restricted to just a few paths. It is simply just better. Now, according to Maruti Tech Labs, an AI and software development company, we can examine possibly the most important step of the chatbot, its ability to interpret your question. Now, if the bot cannot understand what the user has asked it, then there is no way it can produce accurate information. And most AI bots use a special machine learning process called natural language understanding, or in short, NLU. Now, the AI chatbots use these machine learning algorithms, and in order for it to work, the bot has to be trained with a vast amount of data to learn about the patterns and characteristics of human language. Once they have enough information, it can start to decompose questions into keywords and minor elements to help it understand what is being asked. Now, this process is called parsing, just like how we parse through data and break it down. Now, because of how NLU works, when you interact with an AI chatbot, it is always best to provide as much context and information as you can. In this way, it can best search its repositories for the answer. Now that we understand how the AI interprets your question, let's move on to how it searches for the answer to said question. Now, through a process very similar to NLU, the AI uses another machine learning process called natural language processing, in short, NLP. It's very similar. But since they are very similar, we can separate it so it's easier to understand. If NLU is used to interpret the question, then NLP uses the results from NLU to search for the answer in its database. Now, NLP does this by converting the information from NLU to structured data sets, which the AI can use to search its own databases and repositories and use algorithms to find answers to complex questions. This sounds kind of confusing, but we can think about it like in a Google search. You enter a question into the search bar and you get an answer. And the difference between the two is that the AI is able to better understand the question and personalize its response according to the context you provide. And depending on which chatbot you're using, the database and repositories will vary. Now, the most popular chatbot in the market right now is ChatGPT. This ChatGPT is actually using out-of-date information because it is not constantly connected to the internet. If you ask it, its databases have last been accessed in September of 2021. Therefore, you'll receive out-of-date information. And Google Bard, despite its embarrassing announcement, has managed to make significant progress in its AI. Bard has an edge over ChatGPT because of its ability to have real-time access to information from the web. you were to ask it what happened in the Supreme Court a few days ago, it would be able to produce an answer. ChatGPT would not. Now that our chatbot has our answer, it has to deliver it in a human manner. And the way it does this is by utilizing something just very similar to NLP, but it's called deep learning. Now, NLP uses deep learning algorithms to emulate a natural conversation. Now, according to Amazon Web Services, the world's most comprehensive cloud service, deep learning is a process of predictive analysis and pattern recognition in the AI's attempts to imitate human language. Now, we can see the success of this in bots, especially like ChatGPT, where if you ask it a question, it can produce answers in a very human manner, almost like a person having a conversation. Bots like Bard and Bing Chat are still lagging behind, but they have their own unique capabilities. Now, we also use deep learning for image recognition and interpreting patterns visually in a data set. Just like how our phone can recognize our faces or fingerprints, deep learning is used to simulate the human brain's process of recognizing and matching information. In this diagram, we can see that ML and NLP are both subfields of AI. And to clarify, they are not the same thing, but they do utilize parts of each other and deep learning to formulate an AI. So to recap, the chatbot has to break down a question using NLU, search its databases and repositories using NLP, and then deliver its responses in a human manner using deep learning. And that's roughly about how an AI chatbot works. And with the rapid development of AI's ability to understand information, its eventual integration into modern life will happen. And to be honest, it's already happened today. We see a lot of industries and companies today utilizing AI chatbots in one way or another. So in conclusion, the importance of understanding how a chatbot can work can benefit your life because you can utilize its resources better. Thank you.
I think you did a good job being able to go deeper into detail about a more complex topic that not many people understand at this time. And I think you did a good job at like breaking it down into more simple terms. That is my feedback for you. The only thing is I think you listed more sources, but could you just go over the sources you listed again, just so I can mark it down?
Oh, okay. I listed 2 sources, but I did
Okay.
use more. So I use the one by Marudi Tech Labs and then
Yes.
the one by AWS.
Okay, cool. Thank
Amazon
you.
Web Services. Yeah.
Are we still giving feedback?
I think
Yeah.
I don't know if you have to because we have the rubric, so I'm not sure, to be honest.
Okay. Well, anyway, I mean, yeah, you did really good. You were very confident. You had all the information that you needed stated. You properly cited all your sources and where you got you had your evidence backing up your claims, and I just thought it was more informative, than I thought it would be. But I mean, that's a good thing. Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, you did really good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. Sorry, I was filling out the group, but yeah, I thought that it was really good and really interesting. And I'm not super knowledgeable in chat box and stuff, and it was helpful for me, and I could follow, so it was really good.
Thank you.
All right, so let's get started. All right, so today my speech is going to be about STDs. Did you know that over 1 million sexually transmitted diseases are transmitted on a daily basis worldwide? This staggering number is provided by the World Health Organization in 2022 and calls for increased awareness and education regarding sexually transmitted diseases. So again, for today's speech, we're going to be going over what an STD is, some common symptoms you may experience if you have an STD, as well as the increase in rates for STDs. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you a graph from the CDC. Oh, are you able to enable screen sharing? Sorry.
You should be good.
Sorry about that. Okay, so this is the first graph I'll show you. So from here, you'll be able to see that nearly half of all new infections that are being diagnosed are among the nation's youth. So the age group for this is 15 to 24. With that in mind, obviously STDs do not discriminate against age, education. They can affect anyone, including college students like us. It's crucial to equip ourselves with knowledge so that we're able to make more informed decisions regarding our sexual health and well-being. So we're going to go ahead and dive more into detail regarding what an STD is. As of 2023, the CDC defines an STD, or sexually transmitted disease, as an infection that's passed sexually from one person to another. It's passed through either vaginal sex, oral sex, or anal sex, but it's also not limited to that. It can be passed through skin-to-skin contact. Now, some common STDs you may be aware of include chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, HIV, and AIDS. And there are some lesser known STDs that you may not have heard of, such as scabies and pubic lice. It's important to understand these as well because it allows us to recognize the potential risks and take certain precautions as needed. Now, going more into some common symptoms you may experience with STDs, for example, chlamydia and gonorrhea. Some common symptoms that people may experience are painful urination, abnormal discharge from the penis or vagina, testicular pain, as well as increased menstrual bleeding for females. Syphilis, on the other hand, tends to occur in stages. And there is a study in 2017 that was published on PubMed by Rosanna Peeling and her colleagues. And they took a deeper look into the different stages of syphilis. However, for today, we'll just briefly go over syphilis and the different stages. So initially, individuals that are diagnosed with syphilis may experience painless ulcers that will progress onto lesion or rashes. If syphilis is left untreated, it can progress into more other stages that are more life-threatening. So essentially, if syphilis remains untreated, different organ systems can become affected, and that'll lead eventually to death if it's not taken care of. HIV and AIDS, on the other hand, is also a serious STD that can be contracted as well. It can start off minor with a sore throat, some fever, and that can progress as well into swollen lymph nodes, diarrhea, fatigue, and progress to worsening symptoms as the virus continues to weaken your immune system. Now that we've discussed more about what STDs are and some symptoms, we can go ahead and look into some more statistics. So I'm going to show you another graph from the CDC. So they did a study, and you can see here from 2017 to 2021, the overall STDs that were diagnosed increased 7%. So you'll see at the bottom left in 2017, 2.37 million individuals were diagnosed with STDs, and that increased to 2.53 million. Now, with the CDC, they continued the study, and in 2020 to 2021, they noticed that the amount of cases that were reported skyrocketed. Specifically, they noticed chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis were the main STDs that contributed to over 2.5 million of the reported cases. Chlamydia and gonorrhea accounted for an increase of 4%. And my other graph from the CDC shows here that syphilis within the same year increased by 32%. So you can see how it was initially around 134,000 reported cases. That increased to about 177,000 by 2021. With that in mind, we've discussed again for today what an STD is, some common STDs, as well as their symptoms, and the alarming rate in which STDs are rising. It's crucial to recap these key points as they emphasize the importance of sexual health. And by being knowledgeable with what an STD is and these rates, we can hopefully contribute to a healthier and safer community while making informed choices about our sexual well-being. Thank you.
really good and like really informative. I just have one question though. How many sources did you like
Site, yes.
specify?
So the first one was from the World Health Organization in 2022, so from the WHO. Most of my sources were from the CDC, so like for the graphs and some of the statistics. And then for syphilis, I talked about Rosanna Peeling's study.
That's right. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think this is something it sounds like you're kind of passionate about, you kind of have a lot of understanding on, and you definitely are interested in like safety in this regard. One thing I can say is that in the rubric, we definitely want, it says I want 4 or more sources, which I didn't even know, but yeah, so maybe cite 1 more source, and then I think you're good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I heard a lot of your sources too. I think bringing up those definitions and the evidence that backs up your topic really helps push out your main point and the points that you were making earlier. But you had a lot of things in there that I didn't know either. So it was good that you brought up sources. So then, if other audience members they have like that, I forgot the word, but it's just more credible. There you go. It's just the credibility is there, and everything that you said was it just had some sort of backup plan.
Thank you for you guys' feedback. There's 10 minutes left for the meeting. Do we want to restart the meeting or try to put 1 more in?
I think to be on the safe side, we can just restart.
Yeah, up to
Okay.
you guys.
I guess I can go next. Also, I apologize in advance. My visuals, I didn't prepare them digitally, so they're just on paper, but I'll change it for the actual speech. So just wanted to let you know. But so my speech about music, the impact it has on our physical and mental state. So music has many purposes in our day-to-day life. But did you know that music poses as a benefit to our physical and mental health, as well as potentially pose as a danger for our physical long-term health? And during the course of my speech, I will be informing you all about the health benefits of music to our bodies and minds, and how to best utilize it as a powerful tool to benefit your life, but also how to protect yourself from the dangers of music that it can pose. But before I do, take a second to reflect on the past week or even the past day, and how frequently, when, and where you listen to music, and whether it be via your phone, radio, TV, whatever. Can you recall if it has physically impacted you, or can you recall how you feel when you were listening to this music? So anyways, as previously mentioned, I plan on discussing physical and mental benefits of music, the potential risks music poses towards our health, and how to best utilize music in a positive way. So let's start on a fun and cool note. Johns Hopkins University has referred to many research and studies that prove that listening to music reduces anxiety, as well as improve your sleep quality, mood, mental alertness, and memory. Additionally, music allows for mental benefits as well, and AARP notices that the most notable benefit is that the brain can release dopamine, which is linked to feelings of pleasure, and oxytocin, which is known as the love hormone. And here you can see that when not listening to music, there's a lot less activity in the brain versus when there is. And also there's kind of a visual representation of like how the brain works, the dopamine. So then now, before I tell you how to best utilize music to the best of your ability, I just want to briefly discuss the risks music poses, the risks music that can occur. Loud volumes, whether that be regularly or for a prolonged period of time, can lead to noise-induced hearing loss and other hearing impairment due to damaged cochlear hair cells, which sense different sounds via electric signals, and overworked ossicles, which are your bones in your ear that convert the sound into electric signals. And then here you can see that it talks about how there's listening to volume at 100% for 5 minutes should not exceed 5 minutes, or else irreversible damage can occur. And also listening to music on max volume is actually more harmful than hearing a chainsaw near you or a motorcycle revving its engine. So then further, the National Biotechnology Information informs us that types of music and songs have the ability to change your behavior and thoughts in a negative way, and by listening to violent or aggressive music, in turn cause violent or aggressive thoughts. While it's important to listen to music that you enjoy, it's also important to make sure that you can regulate your thoughts and behaviors to not become a threat to yourself or now that we've covered the things that it is good to look out for, we can dive into the ways that use music as a powerful tool to improve your life. Look on how dopamine and oxytocin are released in the brain. You know, you can know that battery, and as you all have heard a song or well not here time limit. But even if you haven't, it's probably in ways that you aren't necessarily aware. So associating certain jingles with because they have fun form, or maybe you may hear songs that I remember or a sign of some sorts. Music can become a powerful tool to remember information or even remember things. So music has an overwhelming amount of benefit to our mental and physical health. It is very important to our mental. It is very important to utilize it as a valuable tool to better our bodies, learn how to prevent the things that come alongside. Thank you so much for listening, and now you can go play your physical effects. Thank you.
I thought that was pretty good. Aside from, it's totally not your fault, but it was just a little. I guess it was just internet problems that you were cutting out at times, so I wasn't really able to hear the whole thing. But that might have just been me. But overall, I like from what I could hear, you had your sources, you had your sightings, you had everything that you needed to have for said informative. And I just thought everything was really good aside from the internet issues, but that's totally not your fault. That happens to everyone.
I think the visual aids you used too really helped convey what you were trying to talk about for your speech.
Definitely.
But yeah, good job on the choices for your visual aids.
Yeah, you know the content very well. I think you seem to understand what's going on, especially with like your sources, and you're able to convey, like, regurgitate your information well. I think only criticism I can say is maybe a little more hand gestures, and I think otherwise I think you've got it well. Besides the internet connection problems, which is not your fault. But yeah, overall pretty good.
Thank you. Sorry, I was kind of cutting there, so I have a issue on my end. But thank you.
Okay, I guess I'll go next. Do I have permissions to share screen as well? So, cool. Well, I'm just using the slideshow just as a, so I don't have to keep moving back and forth. My speech is going to be about fire protection and spreading fire awareness, mainly over the course of household items and housing within communities and areas where there's a large population of people. So to start, in 2021, local fire departments responded to an estimated 1.35 million fires in the United States. Those fires caused 3,800 civilian fire deaths and 14,700 reported civilian fire injuries. Now, I want to inform you of the importance of fire safety and why it is crucial to understand prevention and protection skills for everyday life. Understanding these logistics can save you from save your home, the bed you sleep on every night, your pet, but most importantly, it saves your life and those of who you love. So to start off, I'm just going to show you a basic visual of a fire sprinkler. So the reason I'm talking about fire sprinklers is because it's one of the most common fire prevention safety things in most buildings and most households. So how a fire sprinkler works is whenever it detects a fire, the smoke rises up and then it hits number 3 here. This is a thermal tube, so it has liquid inside. I'm not sure what that liquid's called, but I'll search that up for our actual speech. But once that liquid gets to a certain temperature above 90 degrees Fahrenheit, it pops and it lets out all the water that's connected towards it. The diagram 4 right here is just the spread. So it spreads all the water that's coming down from here, and then it spreads it like an umbrella. And then 2, that's just the button there that releases all the water once the valve pops, and everything else goes towards that fire or an area to stop the spread or to reduce the fire effectiveness. Just give me a quick second. And my second point is going to be about the most common household fires and how they start. One, I'm going to talk about cooking. Cooking is the #1 cause of house fires because people are unaware. They aren't really proactive about how hot their temperature is, the food that they're cooking, the amount of oil that they use. Most of the time, it's people that do not take that active approach to understand what they're doing or how to cook, or the time and temperatures that they're cooking at. Most of the time, it's oil fires. In many restaurants, oil fires are one of the most hazardous fires that can occur there. And the only reason why the oil fires go out is because they have a fire sprinkler related system there. It's a foam protectant that basically layers over the fire instead of stopping it. So it just covers the fire like a blanket. And basically, this is the fire, and then this is the foam. It covers it. It doesn't put it out completely. And then number 2, the second most common cause of home fires is heating. Portable heaters, regular heaters, AC, sometimes those can catch on fire. And many people don't realize it because it just smells like smoke at first. And then the formaldehyde, it's just all the carbon dioxide in the air. And then that's when the smoke starts rising, and then it starts getting to a certain heat point where that flashover does happen and the fire does occur. Number 3, electrical. So talking about electrical, there aren't really a lot of options to stop electrical fires besides the 3rd prong on it. That's the ground prong, and that stops any overlapsing electrical currents towards that electrical wiring. So that puts it into the floor rather than sends the whole current towards where your hair dryer, your computer, your laptop, your mouse, anything that has anything related to plugging it into the outlet. That 3rd prong happens. And then when it doesn't have that prong and sometimes you can feel your outlets overheating, that's mainly a cause of too much power being used from that outlet, or it's one of your sparks are broken, one of them isn't just not maintained, issued enough. Number three, I would personally I would say it's the most common because of candles, especially candles. Many people who smoke cigarettes or e-cigarettes or candles and light them in the house next to wood furnishings, curtains. Personally, this happened to me. I told you guys in the storytelling speech that my brother had a lamp that he covered with a beanie, and that beanie got too hot and it started a fire. But he also would put candles next to furnishings and those would catch on fire, but it's not as bad as the beanie one. And then my mom, she would have candles next to curtains. I would tell her don't put it there, but then Asian parents, they just like to do whatever they want. And to move to my second, let me just pull this up here. And then now that we learned what fire protection is, we can now realize the importance to inform those on protection rather than prevention. I mean, prevention rather than protection. So prevention over protection. Protection is a source of extinguishing the fire itself rather than having the awareness and being ahead of what a fire is going to look like. So protection is firefighters, people going into the fires and stopping it and stopping the spread of them as they happen. Prevention is more, being cautious about where you put the hazardous materials, where fires can start, and where heating isn't being let off as easily. Like outlets, many people aren't aware that portable heaters are one of the main sources of common household fires, and storage areas too, where sometimes they can overheat. An electrical outlet can go off and then light a box in front of an outlet. So many people don't realize that the attics of their homes or storage areas that they go through, that they put stuff and then they just pack it over and over on top of each other. So to counteract that, people would often, or many people should often use smoke alarms and smoke detectors and carbon dioxide detectors as well, or carbon monoxide, I'm sorry, and replace them every 10 years and test the batteries monthly and replace yearly. To transition off of that, we can talk about the home fire escape plans now. So to understand where the home fire escape plans come from, we have to understand why they exist in the first place. The reason that these exist is because back in the 1800s, not a lot of people would live in mostly brick and wooden houses, which weren't as pliable to try to get out of because they were hard and there wasn't really many escapes. And to have an active escape route for any given fire, any given day, should make sure you understand where your windows are, where your nearest exits are, your doors, and sources of water especially. So this diagram here shows the kitchen, the restroom, and the living room, and the arrows pointing outwards are pointing towards the nearest exit. So you can exit through a window, a door, the window in the restroom, and then mainly the main door to get outside of the building before any smoke builds up and you start inhaling any of the smoke. To conclude everything, we've learned today the importance of being knowledgeable about fire safety and how it can help every community fight against the most common building hazards. Fires can happen anytime, anywhere. Placing precautionary fire systems, being aware of the hazards, and taking quick and mindful action during fire have proven to save many lives and prevent life-threatening injuries. Thank you.
That's pretty good. I think you sound very passionate about this, as you kind of mentioned last time. I I think a few critiques I could give you. I know this is practice. Maybe make it a little more fluid. Go through between the points a little quicker. Just like make it more cohesive. I saw that on the formative speech like rubric. She like kind of explicitly told us not to have the visuals up the whole time. So just want to give you a heads up on that. But other than that, pretty good, very good. Your tone and like vocal quality was very good. So
Yeah, sorry guys, I just got off of work and I'm not really, in my right head right now. So
no, you're
next
good.
time I'll probably wake up a little better. So thank you for the critiques though and the feedback. I really appreciate it. I know I didn't use that many sources either, so I'll probably have to get towards that.
I think the visual aids you chose to definitely helped your speech as you were able to like explain some of the content that you were going over. Yeah, and it was good that you were able to break down
Informative and-
some of the pictures as well.
Cool, thank you.
Okay,
Sorry, I didn't
so
mean to cut
oh, oops.
you off. It was just like we're lagging. Oh, but yeah, that was really good and super informative. Tone and like it was engaging.